The world of British acting lost some of its most beloved faces over the past few years, and while some deaths made international headlines, others quietly slipped by, leaving fans unaware that these talented performers were no longer with us. From iconic wizards to beloved soap stars, from Shakespeare veterans to comedy legends, these actors left an indelible mark on television and film. Here are 12 British actors you didn't know passed away. The last man standing from Dad's Army. Ian Lavender died on February 2, 2024, at the age of 77, marking the end of an era for one of Britain's most beloved sitcoms. As Private Frank Pike in Dad's Army, Lavender became a household name at just 22 years old when he was cast in 1968. He was the youngest member of the platoon, the bumbling bank clerk who constantly referred to Sergeant Wilson as Uncle Arthur, due to Wilson's relationship with Pike's overprotective mother. Captain Mainwaring's exasperated cry of "Stupid boy!" became one of British television's most iconic catchphrases, and Lavender delivered his wide-eyed, innocent responses with perfect comic timing. The show regularly attracted more than 18 million viewers during the 1970s, making it one of the most watched programs of its time. What many fans didn't know was that when Lavender chose Pike's scarf from the BBC wardrobe, he deliberately selected one in claret and blue, the colors of his beloved Aston Villa Football Club. After Dad's Army ended, Lavender built a successful career on both stage and screen, including a significant stint on EastEnders from 2001 to 2005, playing Derek Harkinson, a gay friend of Pauline Fowler. He returned to Walford in 2016, but had to leave in 2017 after falling ill with sepsis, having previously battled both cancer and a heart attack. Lavender once said it was the luckiest day of his life when he was plucked from obscurity to play Pike, noting that the role took him from complete unknown status into television stardom. His death meant that no original main cast members of Dad's Army remained alive. The canal journey that became a love story. Timothy West passed away peacefully in his sleep on November 12, 2024, at the age of 90, leaving behind a career that spanned over 6 decades and touched nearly every corner of British entertainment. While he was a titan of British theatre, playing King Lear 4 times and Macbeth twice, and appeared in everything from EastEnders to Coronation Street, it was his final television project that perhaps revealed the most about his character. From 2014 to 2019, West co-hosted Great Canal Journeys with his wife, actress Prunella Scales, who is best known as Sybil Fawlty in Fawlty Towers. The series followed the couple as they took narrowboat trips across Britain and Europe. But what made it extraordinary was how honestly it depicted Scales' deteriorating condition from dementia. Rather than hiding her struggles, West remained a devoted caregiver and loving husband throughout, and the show became a moving portrait of enduring love in the face of decline. The Canal and River Trust praised him for inspiring countless people to explore Britain's waterways, while the Carers Trust honored him as a devoted carer. West made his professional debut in 1959 and joined the Royal Shakespeare Company in the 1960s, where he built his reputation playing the great classical roles. He had a particular talent for portraying real historical figures, playing Winston Churchill 3 separate times across different productions, King Edward VII and King George V. His versatility was remarkable. He could play a ruthless businessman in the ITV series Brass, a commanding British officer in Gentleman Jack, or a gentle grandfather figure with equal conviction. West was made a Commander of the Order of the British Empire in 1984 for his services to drama and received 8 honorary doctorates from universities across the UK. He leaves behind his wife of 61 years, their daughter Juliet, sons Samuel and Joseph, 7 grandchildren, and 4 great-grandchildren. An American who became British. David Soul died on January 4, 2024, at the age of 80, but many fans didn't realize that the star of Starsky and Hutch had long since become a British citizen. Born David Solberg in Chicago, Soul first gained attention in 1967 when he appeared on The Merv Griffin Show as The Covered Man, performing while wearing what looked more like a bank robber's mask than stage attire. This unusual gimmick led to his first television role on Flipper, and eventually to his breakthrough as Detective Kenneth Hutch Hutchinson on Starsky and Hutch, which ran from 1975 to 1979. The show became a cultural phenomenon, with Soule and Paul Michael Glaser creating a brotherly dynamic that was different from typical cop shows, driving around in their iconic red and white striped Ford Gran Torino. At the height of his television fame, Soule pivoted to music and scored a #1 hit in both the US and UK with Don't Give Up on Us in 1977, followed by another UK chart topper, Silver Lady. What surprised many was Soule's transformation in the 1990s when he moved to the United Kingdom and obtained British citizenship in 2004. He built an entirely new career in West End theatre and British television, appearing in productions of Jerry Springer the Opera and shows like Poirot, Dalziel and Pascoe, and Lewis. His personal life was tumultuous, marked by struggles with alcoholism and multiple marriages, but he found stability with his fifth wife, Helen Snell, whom he married in 2010 after they met working on the British stage production of Death Trap. Soule was a 3-pack-a-day cigarette smoker for 50 years, and though he quit 10 years before his death, he suffered from progressive lung disease and had a lung removed due to cancer. Just months before he died, Soule joked on social media about reprising his Starsky and Hutch role, suggesting they reboot him and Paul Michael Glaser as a couple of old men solving petty crimes at an assisted living facility, asking who could do Starsky and Hutch better than the originals. The Gentle Half-Giant. Robbie Coltrane's death on October 14, 2022, at the age of 72, devastated Harry Potter fans worldwide. But what many didn't know was just how ill he had been in the years leading up to his passing. Born Anthony Robert Macmillan in Rutherglen, Scotland, Coltrane adopted his stage name as a tribute to jazz legend John Coltrane when he began his acting career in his early 20s. His death certificate listed the causes as multiple organ failure complicated by sepsis, a lower respiratory tract infection, and heart block, and he had been ill for 2 years prior. Before becoming Hagrid, Coltrane had already established himself as one of Britain's finest character actors. He appeared in the early 1980s sketch series Al Fresco alongside Hugh Laurie, Stephen Fry, and Emma Thompson, then earned critical acclaim and 3 consecutive British Academy Television Awards for his performance as criminal psychologist Dr. Edward Fitzgerald in the ITV crime drama Cracker from 1993 to 1995. He played Valentin Zhukovsky, a Russian crime boss, in the James Bond films GoldenEye and The World Is Not Enough, delivering performances so compelling the producers brought him back for the second film. But it was J.K. Rowling's insistence that made him Hagrid, the lovable half-giant gamekeeper at Hogwarts. Rowling reportedly had Coltrane at the top of her list, and when asked whom she'd like to see in the role, she responded with his name in one quick breath. Coltrane read the books to his own children and understood the character deeply, bringing warmth and gentle humor to every scene across all 8 films. His final appearance with the Harry Potter cast came in the 2022 Return to Hogwarts anniversary special, filmed when he was already ailing and aware of his mortality. The special's director recalled that Coltrane was fiercely determined to have that final, full-circle experience with his beloved cast, spending days on the original sets, sharing stories, and reflecting on the passage of time. In the special, Coltrane poignantly reflected that the legacy of the movies meant that children would show them to their own children decades from now. He said he wouldn't be here, sadly, but Hagrid would be. Daniel Radcliffe remembered him as one of the funniest people he'd ever met, someone who kept the young cast laughing constantly and lifted their spirits during difficult shoots. Dumbledore's final curtain. Michael Gambon died on September 27, 2023, at the age of 82, following a bout of pneumonia. But his passing revealed a personal life far more complicated than most fans realize. Born in Dublin, Ireland, Gambon became one of the original members of the Royal National Theatre under Laurence Olivier in the 1960s, and spent decades as one of Britain's most respected stage actors. He won 3 Olivier Awards and was knighted by Queen Elizabeth II in 1998 for his services to drama. Gambon took over the role of Albus Dumbledore from Richard Harris, who died in 2002, and played Hogwarts headmaster in 6 of the 8 Harry Potter films. What stunned many fans was Gambon's admission that he'd never read any of Rowling's Harry Potter books, considering it safer to follow the screenplay rather than be influenced by the source material. He told interviewers that playing Dumbledore required no great feat, that he simply stuck on a beard and played himself, since he believed he was not really a character actor, but simply played variants of his own personality in every role. Gambon's career before Harry Potter was extraordinary and often dark. He became a household name in Britain, playing the psoriasis-ridden detective novelist in the 1986 BBC series The Singing Detective, winning a BAFTA for the performance. He played a thunderous, terrifying gangster in Peter Greenaway's 1989 film The Cook, the Thief, His Wife and Her Lover, a performance Roger Ebert described as that of a loud, large, reprehensible criminal played with such power you wondered that God did not strike him dead. His personal life was complex in ways that only emerged after his death. He had been married to Anne Miller for 61 years, and they had 1 son, Fergus. But he also had a long-term relationship with set designer Philippa Hart, with whom he had 2 more sons. When his will was revealed in 2024, it showed that Hart, the mother of 2 of his children, had been left nothing, with almost all of his fortune passing to Lady Gambon, his wife. Gambon retired from the stage in 2015 when he could no longer remember his lines in front of an audience, telling an interviewer that it was a horrible thing to admit, but that it broke his heart. Even the famous Gambon Corner at the Top Gear test track, named after his 2-wheeled drive around the final bend, served as a reminder of his playful, daring spirit. The singing detective and character actor extraordinaire Tom Wilkinson passed away suddenly at his home on December 30, 2023, at the age of 75. Shocking fans who had watched him deliver memorable performances across decades of British and American cinema. Born in Leeds, West Yorkshire, Wilkinson trained at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art and built his reputation on British stages before transitioning to film. He broke through internationally with his role in The Full Monty in 1997, playing one of the unemployed Sheffield steelworkers who form a male striptease act, a performance that earned him a BAFTA award for Best Supporting Actor. From there, his career soared. He received his first Oscar nomination for In the Bedroom in 2001, playing a grieving father with devastating emotional depth, then earned another nomination for Michael Clayton in 2007 as a lawyer suffering a breakdown. Wilkinson had an unusual ability to disappear completely into period roles. He played Benjamin Franklin in the HBO miniseries John Adams, the Duke of Kent in The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, Lord Salisbury in Victoria and Abdul, and Joseph P. Kennedy in The Kennedys. What set Wilkinson apart was his capacity to bring humanity to even small supporting roles, whether playing a nervous accountant in Batman Begins or Shakespeare's patron in Shakespeare in Love. He worked consistently right up until his death, appearing in Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1 and Oppenheimer in 2023. His family's statement noted that he died peacefully at home, though no cause was provided. Colleagues remembered him as a consummate professional who elevated every project he joined, never seeking the spotlight, but always delivering performances of remarkable depth and precision. He is survived by his wife, actress Diana Hardcastle, and their 2 daughters. The poet of crime drama. John Nettleton died on July 12, 2023, at the age of 94. But his passing went largely unnoticed outside Britain, despite a career spanning 6 decades. Nettleton's face was familiar to anyone who watched British television between the 1960s and 2000s, though few could always place his name. He played Sir Arnold Robinson, the wily cabinet secretary in the classic political sitcom Yes, Minister, and its sequel, Yes, Prime Minister, delivering his lines with perfect patrician dryness as he manipulated both ministers and civil servants with equal skill. Nettleton appeared in nearly every major British series at some point. He was in Doctor Who twice, playing different characters decades apart, showed up in Midsummer Murders, Bergerac, The New Statesman, and countless other productions. He had a gift for playing authority figures, whether benevolent or sinister, judges, military officers, politicians, and senior professionals who carried their power lightly but unmistakably. Born in London in 1929, Nettleton trained at the Guildhall School of Music and Drama and spent years in repertory theatre before television discovered him. He performed Shakespeare at Stratford-upon-Avon and appeared in numerous West End productions throughout his career. What colleagues remembered most was his professionalism and kindness, the way he could deliver a brilliant performance in a small role without ego or complaint, always prepared, always gracious. His death, reportedly from natural causes given his age, marked the end of a generation of British character actors who formed the backbone of television drama for decades. The voice of British broadcasting. Annie Nightingale died on January 11, 2024, at the age of 83, and while she was primarily known as a broadcaster rather than an actress, her appearances on television and in films made her a recognizable face in British entertainment. Nightingale broke barriers as the first female presenter on BBC Radio 1 when she joined in 1970 at a time when the station was dominated by male voices. She remained at Radio 1 for an astonishing 53 years, becoming the longest-serving presenter in the station's history. What many didn't realize was her work beyond broadcasting. She appeared as herself in various television programs and had acting credits including roles in The Life of Rock with Brian Pern and Home Before Midnight. Nightingale championed new music throughout her career, particularly supporting punk, new wave, and later electronic and hip-hop when other presenters dismissed these genres. She interviewed everyone from the Beatles to contemporary artists and wrote books about music culture. Her personal life had its share of tragedy, losing her son Alex to a drug-related death, an experience that deepened her understanding of the struggles young people faced. Nightingale continued broadcasting into her 80s, adapting to changes in music and technology with remarkable flexibility. When she died in London, tributes poured in from across the music industry, with artists and fellow broadcasters praising her pioneering spirit and genuine passion for discovering new sounds. BBC Radio 1 posted that she was a trailblazer who had broken down barriers and inspired generations of broadcasters. The man who made crime-solving stylish. Kenneth Colley died on August 26, 2024, at the age of 81, taking with him one of the most distinctive faces in British cinema. Colley had an unusual career trajectory, playing both Jesus Christ and a Star Wars villain, demonstrating remarkable range that often went unrecognized. In 1979, Monty Python's Life of Brian cast him as the actual Jesus Christ in the film's opening sequence, delivering his Sermon on the Mount with sincere reverence while chaos unfolded around him. The same year, he appeared in Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back as Admiral Piet, the nervous Imperial officer who survives Darth Vader's wrath where others perish, returning for Return of the Jedi in 1983. But Colley's career extended far beyond these iconic roles. He appeared in numerous British television series, including Casualty, where he was a recurring character, Heartbeat, The Bill, and Inspector Morse. He had a particular talent for playing men under pressure, his expressive face conveying worry, determination, or quiet desperation with minimal dialogue. Born in Manchester in 1943, Colley trained at the Bristol Old Vic Theatre School and spent his early career in repertory theatre, developing the technical skills that would serve him throughout his screen work. He worked steadily into his late 70s, never retiring but gradually accepting fewer roles. Colley maintained a private personal life, rarely giving interviews or seeking attention, content to let his work speak for itself. His death from natural causes was announced by his family, who noted his dedication to his craft and his kindness to fellow actors. The Shakespearean who became a soap star. Ray Brooks died on November 19, 2024, at the age of 86, ending a career that took him from cutting-edge 1960s British cinema to becoming the beloved voice of Mr. Benn. Brooks first gained attention in the 1960s British New Wave, appearing in The Knack and How to Get It, which won the Palme d'Or at Cannes in 1965. He played Tony, a cool, confident teacher helping a friend learn how to attract women, bringing naturalistic charm to Richard Lester's innovative comedy. Brooks appeared in numerous films and television shows through the 1960s and 70s, including the BBC series Big Deal in the 1980s. But it was his work as a voice actor that introduced him to an entirely new generation. From 1971 to 1972, Brooks narrated the children's animated series Mr. Benn, his warm, gentle voice guiding viewers through the adventures of an ordinary man who visits a costume shop and travels to different worlds. The series only produced 13 episodes, but became a beloved classic, repeated endlessly on British television. Brooks reprised the role in 2005 for additional episodes. In later years, Brooks appeared in EastEnders, Holby City, and other continuing dramas, proving he could adapt to changing television landscape. He continued working into his 80s, with his final role coming in 2023. Colleagues remembered him as unfailingly professional and genuinely lovely, someone who treated every role with respect, whether he was the star or had just 2 lines. His death marked the loss of a link to British cinema's most innovative period. The character actor nobody noticed. George Armstrong died on July 11, 2023, at the age of 60, a death that went almost entirely unreported despite a career that spanned decades on British television. Armstrong was best known, if known at all, for his early role in Grange Hill, the groundbreaking BBC children's series about a comprehensive school. He played Alan Humphreys, one of the students, from 1978 to 1982, during the show's most popular years when it tackled serious social issues including drugs, teen pregnancy, and bullying. After Grange Hill, Armstrong appeared in its spin-off series Tucker's Luck, which followed some of the characters after they left school. But unlike some of his co-stars who went on to higher-profile careers, Armstrong largely disappeared from public view. He made occasional appearances in British television series through the 1990s and 2000s, usually in small roles or as an extra, working steadily but without fanfare. This was the reality for most working actors, those who made a living from the profession but never achieved stardom or even consistent recognition. Armstrong's death at just 60 was particularly tragic, given that he was still young enough to be working. The circumstances of his death were not publicly disclosed, and only a brief announcement appeared noting his passing. For those who grew up watching Grange Hill, however, the news brought back memories of an actor who had been part of their childhood, a reminder that the people we watched on screen lived full lives beyond what we saw. The last of the Golden Age. John Woodvine passed away on January 29, 2024, at the age of 89, taking with him memories of working with some of British theatre's greatest names. Woodvine trained at the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art in the 1950s and built his career on stage before transitioning to television and film. He appeared in An American Werewolf in London in 1981, playing one of the Yorkshire locals who encounters the unfortunate American tourists before the lycanthrope attack. That same horror connection continued when he appeared in The Wicker Man in 1973, the cult classic about pagan rituals on a Scottish island. But Woodvine's bread and butter was British television. He appeared in multiple Doctor Who serials across different eras, playing different characters, a common practice for character actors in long-running series. He was in Morse, Casualty, Midsummer Murders, Foyle's War, and dozens of other series, always reliable, always bringing depth to roles that might have been forgettable in lesser hands. His theater work remained important throughout his life, and he continued performing Shakespeare and other classics well into his 70s. Colleagues from his early days remembered him as part of a generation that treated acting as a craft to be honed through constant practice, who learned their lines perfectly and showed up on time with ideas about their character that enhanced rather than derailed the production. Woodvine never sought celebrity, content to work steadily at his craft, to pay the bills and occasionally play a role that reminded him why he fell in love with acting in the first place. His death, at a good age and after a life well lived, represented the passing of an entire era of British performing arts,